Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Dr. Sterling or James, may I ask you to do the prayer? Either one of you?
Oh, all right. Let us bow our heads. Merciful Father, we just thank you for being here in 2025. There are many people that didn't make it to this year. Father God, I ask you to be with us as we make decisions for the city of Houston for 2025, and let us think of others more than ourselves. I also would like to say my deepest condolences to the Carter family because it was on today that his body was taken back to his home of Plains, Georgia. So, Father God, just be with that family. These things I ask and pray in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen. May we do a moment of silence, and also while you're doing that, remember the people in New Orleans and their families. Thank you. May I ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay. Okay. Public hearing agenda. Is there a motion for, or is there any changes to the agenda? If not, I'd like to ask for agenda approval.
Make the motion, we approve the agenda.
Thank you, James.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay. Yep.
All right, a public hearing has been called on the item on our public hearing agenda, CU-24-01, conditional use Frank Pittman applicant, Christian Stewart and Ashish Shumar Patel, property owners, seek a conditional use permit for a daycare center in a mixed-use zoning district for 2.0 acres, fronting on the south side of Eagles Bluff Way and the west side of State Route 53, and I hereby open that public hearing. Jennifer, could you confirm that public notice has been given? Thank you. After we hear a report from Dr. White, the city planner, we will allow speakers both in support of and in opposition to the application. All speakers must abide by the following rules. I'll ask first if anybody wishes to speak. If you do, raise your hand. I'll divide up time accordingly. I'll call you up. Please speak into the microphone. State your name, your address, and whether you're a resident of the city of Houston. Speak only to the merits of the application. Address all comments to council. Refrain from personal attacks and discuss the facts instead of giving opinions and speculation. To allow an opportunity to as many people to speak as possible, please don't duplicate points that have already been made. Each side will have a total of 10 minutes to speak, and agendas and outlines of public hearing procedures are located at or near the entrance to the meeting room. Dr. White?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The agenda item describes what this request is and the location of the property, and so I won't belabor the point. I don't have a lot to say really about it at this point, except that the initial recommendation of planning was to approve it with conditions, and then the Planning and Zoning Commission met and had pretty extensive discussion about it, and they recommended a revised set of conditions. An ordinance has been prepared in the event that you want to approve it with those conditions. However, we have noted the need to wordsmith some of the conditions in terms of just clarity and to avoid vagueness and so forth. So we do expect to have a few changes to the conditions, and I thought that through this process, it sounds to me, based on discussion with the mayor and other city council members, that there may be other concerns or suggestions for language to go in the conditions. So I expect that will come out tonight, and we would, if you so choose, we would revise those for adoption on the 21st. That's all I have.
Thanks, Dr. Whites.
You're welcome.
All right, does anyone wish to speak in support of the application? If so, raise your hand. All right, I have two speakers. Y'all have got up to 10 minutes to speak. Whoever wants to go first, if you'll come up. Speak into the microphone, state your name, your address, whether you're a resident of the city of Houston. You'll have up to 10 minutes, and you can reserve any of that if you wish for rebuttal.
Okay, thank you. My name's Frank Pittman with Pittman and Greer Engineering. I'm at 1050 Barber Creek Drive in Watkinsville. I'm here representing the purchasers of the property and I guess I'm actually the applicant of record, but kind of, you know, we presented this at the Planning Commission, wanted to kind of make sure you guys understood this property. This isn't a rezone. It's already zoned commercial with a lot of different options that could be there today by right. Office buildings, bakeries, bed and breakfasts, clinics, banks, fitness centers, laundromats, hotels, restaurants, retail centers. All those items, all those are allowed by right without ever coming to you guys. We're here to request a conditional use for a daycare facility on this property. The client of mine owns a handful of daycares. He's got two in Oconee County, one in Athens. We're in permitting in another one down at Lake Oconee right now. We've got one in permitting in City of Auburn right now as well. So they're local. They're out of Oconee County. They run a good business and really want to be in this area. There's a lot of conversation at the Planning Commission about traffic and need for traffic study. Some conditions were rewritten, one of which was a condition of requiring a traffic study based on some feedback from the DOT. I want to make sure, as you guys understand, this site plan that was turned in, we show a daycare facility, but we also show a retail building. That really is a placeholder. I mean, my client develops daycares. The request here tonight is to approve the daycare. It has nothing to do with that retail center. That would have to go through permitting. If that triggered a traffic study at that time, then that would be taken care of through the permitting process. My client actually has no desire to even build that. We just show that because we wanted to show what could potentially be on this property in addition to the daycare. This request and conversation is about a daycare facility. I think the current owners have had some more conversation with Georgia DOT about the traffic study, and Mr. Whitworth's here representing the current owner. I think he's got some documentation from the DOT, and he may speak on that. But really, we're here to ask for y'all's approval. I've got a client that would love to be in y'all's community and be open for any questions you guys may have down the road. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Whitworth, you also want to speak. If you'll come up, state your name, your address, whether you're a resident of the city of Houston. Y'all have got about 7.5 minutes left.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Kenny Whitworth. I live at 150 Fortress Way in Jefferson, Georgia. I appreciate your opportunity for me to come and speak with you today. I want to talk in reference into, I understand that the Planning Commission put a condition as a traffic study on this. I want to tell you, first off, in certain situations, traffic studies are invaluable. They're great. They're a really good tool to understand what can be done at intersections to improve them. I want to explain why this situation is different, and we don't feel like a traffic study is necessary. And I've had further discussions with DOT as late as yesterday afternoon, and I've got further documentation from them, and I can explain a little bit about where they're coming from. Okay, I understand that you all had an email or something from Mr. Peavy in addition to what I had explained earlier. I do have some documentation I want to show you, but I want to explain a little bit about how a traffic study works. Okay, a traffic study is completed by a third party. So the owners don't do the traffic study, the DOT doesn't do the traffic study, you hire a third party engineer to do that. Okay, that could take somewhere up to $20,000, $25,000 at a time, or it could take up to 3 or 4 months to do. So there's a lot of time and money involved in a traffic study. The reason why I say this intersection specifically, where I feel like it's not necessary, And also, and I'm going to show you an email I've got from the DOT now, and you're more welcome to reach out to them and discuss it with them. They also feel it's not necessary, and I'll explain why. First off, when you do a traffic study, normally you're not doing one at an intersection that has already been completed and developed as far as turn lanes, decel lanes. You do it at a location where you may have a state route with a county road coming into it, and there's no decel lanes, or there's no turn lanes, and you're needing to know how long is the decel lane should be. How should we put a left turn in? Should there be a red light? Okay, so this intersection at Eagles Bluffs Way is already designed. When it was built, it was designed on 53. We all know there's tons of traffic on 53. It was designed already for the commercial piece here, the townhomes, and the entrance into the townhomes. Into the houses, to the Creekside subdivision. Okay, so the turn lanes, the decel lanes, everything is currently there. What's going to happen is if you have to go out and say you do a traffic study just to do it, you can't say, okay, you've got to abide by the recommendation of the traffic study, because any recommendation has to be approved by the Georgia DOT. The DOT owns State Route 53. So any recommendation by a traffic study would have to be approved by them. So, and when you say, okay, well, there's a condition, you have to abide by the recommendation of a traffic study. That really can't happen unless the DOT approves that. Okay? So the only improvement to that intersection that could possibly take place at the current time as a result of a traffic study is a red light. Okay? I've had extensive conversations with the DOT. They're not going to approve a red light at that intersection. Currently on State Route 53, I think everybody up here knows there's a couple other intersections further down 53 that would allow for or be acceptable, or the DOT would recommend a traffic light before they would at Eagle Bluff Way. You've got the Pearl Industrial Parkway, you've got Peachtree Road, you've got coming out of Creekside, Twin Lakes down there, the other intersection. So, just for example, putting a daycare at this facility, and this is conversations I've had with DOT. You've got traffic in the mornings and late afternoon. There's not an average, going to be a daycare doesn't cause, and they know this, they've got the documentation on it, and they know how much traffic's on 53. There's not enough morning and afternoon traffic that's going to average throughout the day to merit a red light at that intersection. They're not going to approve one. So our conversation and my conversations with the DOT is, look, as a result of a traffic study, what could possibly enhance that subdivision at Eagles Bluff Way? And they're not going to approve a traffic light. They agreed to that. There's no way one's going there. So there's nothing a traffic study could give them to enhance that subdivision. Enhance that intersection. Okay? Furthermore, when we went to them and asked for a right out further down on 53, we did that so that it would alleviate traffic from Eagles Bluff Way. The DOT didn't tell us to do that. We asked to do it, and it's going to cost probably $100,000 to put that thing in, to do that. All right, so when people now drop their kids off, they could come take a right on 53. If they wanted to go back to 85 and go south or north or whichever, they could go down Jefferson Street, down to 124, go down to 211 and get on, or go down to Peachtree Road, take a right, go down to 211. So there's options to relieve congestion off of Eagle Bluff Way, no matter where parents go after they drop their kids off or pick them up. So that's why we asked for that, so we would alleviate that traffic. So my point being, we've done everything we believe we could do to help the traffic situation, and previous to this, there was 3.13 acres. That's where commercial was going to be. Eagles Bluff Way was, no matter what was going there, that was designed to handle that traffic because it was zoned for that. And that was the entrance. We even improved it by asking for the right out. So I'm hoping, I'm explaining the fact that it's gonna cost time and money to do a traffic study when it's not gonna be imperative to nothing the DOT is gonna recommend improvements on. It would be doing it for no reason, okay? And I'm gonna give you, I've got documentation here from the DOT.
You've got like 30 seconds, Mr.
Okay, all right, well, long story short, the reason that we had this conversation yesterday is because he asked about the retail. There's gonna be no retail at this site. It's all daycare. So when I told him, and the DOT understood, there's not gonna be any additional traffic during the day, majority of it's gonna be morning and afternoon. There's not gonna be any retail there, so there's no reason for there to be a traffic light in that situation, or a traffic light there at that intersection, because there's just other congestive areas on 53 that require it. So that's why.
Your time is up. Do you have any other points you need to make real quickly?
Yeah, just real quick, they want to open the daycare by November.
Okay.
And the traffic study would delay us at least 3 to 4 months. We wouldn't be able to hit that date, and it's going to cost money that's unnecessary that we could put into something else. I got one quick thing, can I say? Dr. Philip Brown with the state schools, Jackson County School Superintendent, I've had several discussions with him. He's came to me personally about this daycare center. He knew that I had something to do with it. And he has stated to me many occasions, like 3 occasions, I've seen him at 2 prayer breakfasts and a meeting we've had. And he's told me, look, we need this, the county needs it really, really bad. He said, I have teachers teaching in West Jackson right now that are driving their kids to Gwinnett County because they don't have enough room here for their child care, and they're late to work because they get in traffic, taking their kids to the Gwinnett and trying to come back. He says, anything I can do to help this, I will. He says, I don't want to delay it. Please let me know, even to the point I told him, look, I can even put you in touch.
I think we have it.
Okay.
I don't want to give you too much, because then, we got the other side.
Oh, I got you.
Were those your final points?
But and if you would, please reach out to him and ask him.
All right.
And anything I do, but can I give this
Sure.
documentation out
Absolutely.
that I've got?
Thank you, Mr. Whitworth. All right, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the application? If so, raise your hand. All right, I've got one hand. Is there anybody else? All right, then, sir, if you come up, speak in the microphone, state your name, your address, whether you're a resident of the city of Houston, you'll have up to 10 minutes.
My name is Raphael Mayberry. I reside at Creekside Village, 344 Eagles Bluff Way. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm a resident of Creekside Village who is also a current HOA board member. I'd like to take the time to give feedback I have, as well as some from our community. This statement does not speak for everyone in the community. Regarding the traffic study, a traffic study should be done and all its recommendations adhered to in order to give the conditional use for the daycare. Or, as Mr. Whitworth has stated, at least do a traffic study so the council can see what a traffic study may do for your minds. The study should consider traffic for the 4,000 square foot retail, car wash, and townhomes, even though the retail doesn't appear to be happening, but as we currently have it drawn up, that's how we know it. The new charter school and West Jackson Elementary School. The applicant's application from October for the conditional use uses an old data model from ITE Trip Generation Manual 11th generation. This furthermore makes it imperative that a modern traffic study is completed. The daycare's peak times for drop-off and pickup will coincide with the same peak traffic for morning school drop-off and the morning school pickup, not to mention the general congestion of our roadways at those rush hours. There is great concern Creekside residents will not be able to enter in and out of our neighborhood without considerable wait times due to the daycare drop-off and pickup blocking Eagles Bluff Way, either from 53 or from us trying to get out from Eagles Bluff Way onto Fifth Way, left or right. And my second point, odd location. The townhomes newly constructed will overlook the daycare center and be placed next to an already approved car wash, which will be to the south of the playground on their drawings submitted. A playground will be built very close to a major state highway with vehicles traveling very fast. Add to that the already impassable traffic when the daycare's peak traffic flow will occur. Unless you live in Creekside and can walk to the daycare, this may be a big nightmare of a location to get in and out of, especially if you're trying to make a left back onto 53. Because as human nature will show, you're not going to want to take a right and go down Jefferson Street to get back to 124 and then back to 211 I-85, because that's just going to take you just as long to take a left. As someone who has taken their child to school without the daycare located in the front, I can't imagine how long of a commute the half a mile will take with additional vehicles exiting onto 53 from Eagles Bluff Way. In conclusion, please table this request or deny the conditional use pending the traffic study, as the city and Creekside residents deserve to know the impact this will cause to city streets and Highway 53. When the traffic study comes back, all interested parties can make a more informed decision on how to proceed. That's it. You're welcome.
All right, do y'all have questions for anyone?
I do as well, after the mayor and Dave. Councilman Brown.
This question is for Kenny. You said that GDOT would not approve a light going there because, I believe I heard you say, I'm just wanting clarification, please. Because there's already two going in and those are more important than the one there?
No, ma'am, I didn't say that.
Okay, could you repeat it then?
Yeah, what I said, it doesn't warrant that, no matter what a traffic study says, they know how much traffic a daycare currently allows for a daycare. They know how much traffic's on 53. It doesn't, that intersection will not warrant a traffic light with a daycare and just a car wash there. When they realized, and the owner of the daycare center is here, they had previously put that retail on that plat because they had used it somewhere else. And their engineer put it on there. They have no intentions, and I've got an email that I just gave you from.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I know. I've got an email I just gave you from the owners of the daycare that there will be no retail at that location. Okay? And once the DOT found out, hey, there's not going to be any retail there, it's going to be a daycare, and the majority of the traffic's in the morning and evening, there's the intersection there's just not enough traffic on an average hourly basis throughout the day to warrant a traffic light at that intersection. What I said was, there's other intersections on State Route 53 that would warrant it before that one would. So that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm a little concerned that we took out the condition, which is number 2, which is the right out on 53. Then the only way to get out then is still on Eagles Bluff. Am I correct in assuming that's what happened? I attended the planning and zoning, but that was last year.
Yes, that's right. Condition number 2 was recommended by planning staff. The planning commission recommended deletion of that and substitution of a traffic study for that.
Can I answer that?
That wasn't a question.
Okay.
Well,
If she has a question for you, go
Okay.
for it.
well, it was, but Jerry already answered it, so. I'm good for now. We'll see what else
Okay.
comes up.
The right out would very much benefit everybody.
I think you could probably stay, because I'm not
Yes.
sure, but I think several of us are going to have questions.
Go ahead, Tina, please.
When you say they're not going to put a light there, you mean they're not going to pay to put a light there? They would
not.
grant permission if that light were to be funded by someone else.
No.
They would refuse to put it there even if it were funded by someone else.
That's correct. If it warranted it, they would ask for the developer or whoever to have input in like paying for it, but they are moving traffic. Okay, they're in the business to move traffic. What I'm saying is, you please reach out to Jonathan Peavy, Jason Dykes, the district engineer, and ask them about this, because they look at what warranties a red light. And if there's not enough traffic, and they know there's not enough traffic at Eagles Bluff Way to warrant a traffic light, it's just not. And that's why I say there's not enough average traffic throughout the day at that intersection to add a light. You've got other, like that intersection that's got, what, three? There's 53 in Eagles Bluff Way. There's not a road coming into that. You've got other intersections, there's 4 ways, okay, that warrant it a lot more because it's got average hourly traffic that's way higher than Eagles Bluff Way. And if they put one there and it backs traffic up, they space them accordingly. And they've already looked at it and they know, we've been looking at this for months. And there's not enough traffic at Eagles Bluff Way, and there will not be to warrant a traffic light at that intersection, no matter who pays for it.
My concern is it doesn't just involve Eagles Bluff Way. You've got the alignment of West Jackson Elementary, the new charter school, the daycare, which has super concentrated peak traffic times. Those 638 vehicle trips will occur between 7 and 8 a.m. and 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. And I don't know, in all the conversations that have been had with DOT, if all those factors have been put into the hopper, so to speak, and wouldn't warrant a light.
The conversations that I've had with them is, as far as the right-of-way, the decel lanes, and the left turn lanes, there's no way that they're sufficient for the intersection the way it is designed currently. And you're more than welcome to reach out to them, ask them, but there's no way to expand that due to the right-of-way, how much, like right-of-way that the DOT has to even increase it any. But it's sufficient for the traffic that's gonna be there, and it was sufficient when it was designed for commercial to be at that intersection.
Since then, we've gotten the charter school, and I just wonder what information they're basing that on. And I hear average hourly traffic throughout the day, but these are gonna be concentrated peaks that logically warrant a traffic light, for sure, in addition, frankly, to a right out, in my opinion. But that's why we want the traffic study, because I don't think all the factors have been presented to the DOT.
You've got an email from the state traffic operator, engineer for District 1, that's in that packet I just gave you, that he sent me yesterday, stating that they do not require a traffic study. They don't advise one because nothing's gonna change at the intersection. There's nothing that traffic study is gonna prove to change what's currently there, because the only thing that could possibly be changed is put a red light there, and they're not gonna warrant it, they're not gonna approve it. So you're more welcome to call them, ask them, please do, but that's just the way it works.
Yeah, I'd like to know the information that went into that, because I feel like some of it must be missing. We're still talking
But,
about.
Can I make a comment to that? Let me just ask you this question. If they did a traffic study in February, they're still not gonna have, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with the whole idea of a traffic study, I'm just making a comment. They're still not gonna have the traffic of the daycare or the charter school yet. So there's not going to be that influence or that influx of traffic yet.
Then how can we mitigate what's coming?
Well,
The DOT has projections on daycare facilities, all kind of commercial buildings that are going certain areas. They know how many the traffic count for certain businesses, and that's what they go by. So they project it. By putting a right out on that street, you're allowing all that traffic that comes in on the Eagles Bluff Way to come in there, drop your kids off, and leave. You're relieving a ton of traffic off of Eagles Bluff Way. That condition, we would very much support that condition being in this document, because that relieves all the traffic congestion we're discussing. I mean, it relieves it off Eagles Bluff Way. I wouldn't know why that would be taken out, because it's costing. They'd probably love it being taken out, because it's going to save them over $100,000. But I'm just letting you know, this ain't just about money. It is about the safety of the kids. We don't want wrecks at that subdivision or at that intersection. This is a way to relieve the congestion that That's what you're talking about. So we're offering up an opportunity to answer the questions that you have. I mean, we feel like it's a reasonable solution to the problem.
Have we decided, sorry, I don't want to take up, were you done or not?
No, I have, something unrelated to traffic, but I figured if we're talking about traffic, let's just keep doing that.
Okay. Have we decided, Dr. White's, there was a suggestion made at the planning and zoning meeting about coming out onto Main Street, and pursuing that possibility. Have we pursued that? Are we going to pursue that?
Great question. I think it's really up to the council as to what direction we have, but I was pointing out in the planning commission meeting that we own the triangle there and that we've let the property develop with dead ends, which forces everything at this time to go back out to Eagles Bluff. I do tend to agree that if you have a right out at the car wash or on this site, that will do everything that we were thinking about trying to get done by going out to Main Street, with the exception that other people could go in if you connect Main Street to these other properties, then people would have a back door to get in there as well. So it's a bit complicated. I don't have an answer for you.
Chief Hill, what's the speed limit right there? I should know this, but I don't. Is it 45?
So it's 35 on Highway 53. I guess the only problem I would see with Main Street is we really need to go look at it. That's a pretty narrow street right now. It's probably gonna require a lot of curbing put in or extension on that roadway to be able to be sufficient for a lot of traffic. I mean, it's a pretty narrow road right now. Probably put in some pretty good shoulders to make that road sufficient to use.
Could you make that a one-way? Oh, I guess you couldn't, because there's what, four houses,
Yeah,
6 houses, something?
There's about 6 houses on
Six.
the road.
You want to speak to traffic or?
I've got a couple of questions, yes. Kenny, thanks for all of your input here. I think Tina mentioned it. Would you mind confirming the total number of cars that are going to be coming in and out at peak time, say in the morning? I think Tina mentioned the number, Councilman Brown mentioned 638, but I don't know if that was morning and night.
I don't know the answer to that, but
Do you, Frank?
yeah,
So based on the number of kids in this daycare, it'd be 638 total trips. What that means is that's 638 in, out. That's not 638 cars.
Right.
That's, divide that by 2, and that's how many come in, and then that many more leave. So twice a day, you're dividing it by 4.
So about 150 cars.
About 150
At
at peak time, yeah.
Okay.
And that would not, to just add on what he said, that would not come anywhere close to meeting warrants for a traffic study. I mean, I've done projects all over the state and all over the southeast, and we've had projects that we wanted traffic studies, and you gotta have significantly more traffic than that coming in on those side streets to warrant. It doesn't matter what's going down the Highway 53. They want that to keep moving. It's all about what's coming in the side, and you gotta have a lot to warrant a study and, or warrant a signal, and it can't just be at 2 peak times of the day, because that signal's gonna stop all day. They don't want that to happen. So, and they won't, he's right, they will not allow it if it doesn't meet warrants. Doesn't matter who's paying for it.
Okay. My second question, it sounds like y'all would be in favor of that second condition being put back in.
Yeah, and
to
so.
direct
Hold,
traffic.
excuse me, can you use the speaker, because the
Yeah.
people that are at home
Yeah,
cannot hear you?
so the way that kind of went down at the planning commission, I don't think anybody was ever against it. The discussion really was that until that lower lot develops, my client who's doing the daycare may be building a drive that turns around and gets torn out when that lower lot that everybody calls the car wash lot, when that's developed, unless we know exactly what that's gonna look like, that may have to get ripped out and completely redone when that lot's developed. That's not my client's property, that's his client's property. The discussion, I don't think it ever planned to go away.
Sure.
It was just kind of put on hold until that lower lot developed, so we were gonna kind of stub out the daycare to that lot, and then that would get continued when that lot developed. my client's fine building it, it just seems in some ways silly that it may get turned around and torn out in a year or two and built somewhere else on the same property. But we'd be fine with it.
Okay, well, talking about things that are up in the air and talking about property that your client will own, the retail space, sounds like tonight that idea has been totally squashed. Would y'all be in favor at some point of that being retail? I mean, Creekside residents would like to see, I think they've expressed interest in, potentially a smaller restaurant. These women's boutiques do really well in Houston, smaller fitness center. Those have seemed to do well up here.
Yeah, so my client's not against anything like that. And again, we drew that to show them really what could fit there. Because this was not a zoning request, that wasn't really part of this conversation. This was a conditional use for the daycare, so that is the 100% focus for this meeting and this request. No, they're not against that, and I would even offer up if when the DOT first said that this may trigger a traffic study, that was based on that retail building. I think that if somebody's gonna come along and do that retail at a later stage, then there probably should be a traffic study that's done before that part of it's permitted, because that's what the DOT kind of thought would trigger it. Once the DOT found out that this request is just about a daycare, they said it's not, it wouldn't be required for a daycare. So I'd be fine with a condition that said before any permit on the retail center is built, then we need a traffic study. And I think that would be fair. The daycare just doesn't trigger it.
Okay, and is the owner of if he becomes the owner of this daycare, is he here tonight?
He's not here tonight. No. He's not there? Oh, yeah, he is here. I didn't see, he wasn't here when I was sitting back there. So, yeah, one of the owners is
Can
here.
I ask you a question? Would you mind coming up?
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
The owners of the property and the daycare owner have come to an agreement that the road from behind the car wash property and his property will be completed at the same time, so it will be accessible from the day he opens.
Okay.
That they could use the ride out.
All right, thank you, Kenny.
Hey, how are y'all doing today?
Hey, good. Would you mind just letting everybody know your name, address, where you reside real quick?
My name is Jared Lill.
Thanks, Dad. I'm a paralegal.
Gotcha. My name is Jared Lill. I reside at 1523 Willow Creek Drive in Watkinsville, Georgia.
All right, great. I'm really more than anything in the business of benefiting Houston citizens and tonight the Creekside residents. Would you be open to ensuring that they have some sort of benefit, whether it's, hey, before we open up the list of those that'll be attending the daycare, Creekside will have the right to, for the first couple of weeks to put their children on that list. Maybe they get a slight discount for their first year, or whatever that agreement with the daycare looks like. Is that something y'all would be open to making sure these residents benefit?
Yes, we do several partnerships with several different people. Counties, one of our daycares is right next to the Oconee County Annex building. We have an agreement with them that when we first opened up their children, all of the employees of the Annex building, they got the first right to get the first slots. And then for all county members, police and stuff like that, we do heavy discounts and stuff like that. We like to work with counties and different entities as a whole, just
That's perfect.
marketing everything as a whole. So
That's perfect. One last question for you. How many daycares do you own today?
we currently own 3. 2 are operating. 1 is just about to open up. And then we have 7 more under various phases of construction.
Okay, and just really quickly, for those daycares that you own that aren't standalone, if you have some with other businesses operating around them, similar to this retail space, what type of businesses do best around the daycares you currently own?
So the only other one we currently have operating that has other businesses next to it is in Oconee, which has a dry cleaners and a CPR certification classroom.
Okay.
And then also right next to it is we're building a dog daycare for another.
A doggy daycare?
A dog daycare for
Okay.
another customer.
Wow.
Client.
Doggy daycares, okay.
So a little bit of everything.
All right. Thanks for coming up here. I
Mhm.
appreciate that insight. And thanks for being here.
I guess
Y'all have-
my question is for Jerry. Who proposed to take that condition out of the agreement as far as what they had in as far as right in, right out?
Planning Commission.
Okay. Without our knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, the way I operate is I write a report, I recommend conditions. Then when the planning commission gets it, in deference to them, if they suggest something different, then my go-to thing is bring forward the planning commission's recommendation. Mine's still on record if we ever want to go back to it. So
Okay.
that's how we got to it. They decided to take that out in lieu of, and instead insert the traffic study requirement, and they wanted to make the traffic study binding. If it recommended certain improvements, that it would be binding on the applicant.
And I'm assuming, Kenny, these drawings were drawn up by an engineer.
Yes, they
As
were,
far
I
as
think,
within-
and
Right, okay.
you've got an email from Jared and the owner stating that the retail was gonna be taken out. And yes, these drawings were professionally engineered, and the road will be behind, so, you know, it will be there, if approved, the day one it opens.
Okay.
Can I have one more slide?
Do we have other questions?
I do, sorry. So I've heard you say twice, but I'm just triply confirming, the ride-out will be completed before the daycare opens.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the other thing had nothing to do with traffic. There's a retaining wall, and I just, was wondering if we should make it a matter of actually making it a condition about the materials and some specifications on that retaining wall, because that is a very dangerous highway, and we have children and drop-off, the possibility of a car leaving the road or a child escaping the parent and running for the road, makes me want like 3 feet of block wall faced with brick or stone on the visible side, and then from there you could do some sort of pretty aluminum or something, but something at least 3 feet high of some stone. Is there a plan or a specification on that retaining wall, or should we make that a point of condition?
That would be for them to answer. I wouldn't know. That's their business, is protecting children, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, there has been no specification offered up, just because that really wasn't part of the discussion. But they would, in addition to the wall, they also have a 6 foot or 8 foot fence y'all built. 8 foot tall, solid fence around their whole playground facility. So there's not an opportunity for kids to get out of that facility. And that may be on top of the wall, it may be right beside the wall, but, they would not be an opportunity for kids to be on that wall or to be able to get out of the facility.
Well, so my concern is, would you be opposed to the condition having some wall specifications in it?
No, I don't think that's a
Okay.
problem at all.
Okay, because I had one of my children is pulled away from me at drop-off or pickup and run for a road.
Okay.
And so it's really along 53. I see the fence around the playground. That's cool. But in the parking area, the drop-off, the pickup, and again, any traffic that might accidentally leave 53, I want something to slow them down before they have a chance to damage the daycare or potentially get into that playground area. The fence is not going to slow down a tractor trailer going off the road. So you would not be opposed to some specifications of that wall?
No, I think that's
Okay.
fine. And I said, you're talking about on the end of the parking lot,
I'm talking about lining 53,
all the way down? Okay,
all the way down.
okay.
Yeah, because the parking lot could be an issue, the playground could be an issue. So I would like to see some sort of retaining wall that actually would retain traffic leaving the road or children escaping their parents or
I
things
mean,
like that.
like a guardrail kind of deal? I guess I've never seen what you're asking about. I mean, I know the daycare right across the road here that doesn't have anything like that, so I'm.
Block wall, you can have fence above that if you want, but if it's 3 or
Okay.
4 feet of,
So-
cinder block faced with some brick.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem at
Okay.
all.
Frank, I think we could talk more about it. There's gonna be a fence around the playground, correct?
Yes.
So that's what Councilman Brown is saying is maybe the fence that goes around the playground, it comes to a closure there at the end of the playground, and then the fence just continues past the parking lot, and down 53. So I don't think it'd be an entirely new fence. But if we could just ensure that the parking lot's blocked off, same as the playground, I think
Yeah.
that'd make us feel a lot better about safety of these children.
Yeah, I think that's not a problem.
Great.
All right, do we have other questions? Then I'll close the public hearing, and that will conclude our public hearing agenda.
Thank you. We're all now on to the work session agenda. Is there any changes requested for this agenda? If not, can I hear a motion for approval?
Make a motion for approval? The
Thank you,
agenda?
James. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, JJ. All right, reports by mayor, council, and
We can
staff.
call for a vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I had a little ahead of myself. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Reports by mayor, council, and staff. We have quite a bit to report on, hopefully of your interest. I'm gonna go ahead and start on that, and then, Jerry, Jennifer, I'll pass it to you, and then I'll check with council, okay? Very interesting that we're talking about a traffic study, for the daycare, because we have recently, if you recall last month, I mentioned that I formally sent a letter to GDOT asking for a traffic study, because I want the speed limit on 53 from Eagles Bluff, which I thought it was 45, Chief, but 35, you would be, you would be right, I'm sure, all the way to Crystal Lake. Well, they've approved that, so they are gonna be doing a traffic study. I'm very excited about that. I don't know exactly when it will be. Here's some interesting facts. Chief Hill has helped me with these numbers. There's been 32 speeding tickets on 53 just since October. And the speed limit on those are around
Anywhere from 14 to 20 miles an hour
over.
25 miles an hour.
So I'm very excited about that. Also, looks like the light at Twin Lakes Boulevard and 53 is just about done. Like, they put up the walk, don't walk signs at the pole.
And the poles are up.
We just need the arm and Hugh, did you say and the power, or?
They just put in their permit request for their electrical permit to get the power.
Okay. Anyway, so we are gonna get another study, and I am still gonna push we're 35 all the way to Crystal Lake. Another thing I want to talk about, you have probably heard this over and over and over. I'm just going to give you some basic facts on the House Bill 581. A couple of us attended a meeting at the mayor's lunch on this past Monday. There was 3 main areas that they spoke about. The homestead exemption, which basically is freezing your property value, value, okay. Yeah, I think they used a different word, but, okay. The other one is the opt-out option, which Huston is not doing, and the FLOSS, which is called floating local option sales tax. Those are the 3 basic items of House Bill 581. Here's some interesting data that they provided to us. 2/3 of all the counties in the state of Georgia voted yes on this bill. 2/3 of all the cities in the state of Georgia voted yes on this bill. 62% of voters statewide voted yes. More than 70% of West Jackson voters voted yes. 90% of the schools in Georgia are opting out because, I just want to say this, they're not eligible for FLOSS. So there's just some facts that I wanted to share with all of you. The last thing I want to talk about as far as my updates are concerned, I mean, we're doing a lot of different things, but these are the major ones. Georgia Power, let's talk about them for a minute. These outages have gone all the way up to their CEO, and they understand our frustration. They also have been peeking at social media, so they're getting the word for sure. Because of that, if you recall, I shared with you, I don't know, a couple of months ago, or even a month ago, that they were going to be completed updating all their lines by Q1 of 2025. Well, because the CEO is now involved and informed, he has moved that up to mid-January for completion. Mid-February for completion. So a little bit of that attention has gone a long ways. Anyway, those are mine. Jennifer?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to share a couple of things because I know we still have a lot to review during this agenda. But our engineering team did meet with the Barrow County Engineering and Public Works Department and the Water Department as well to discuss the infrastructure for the new water line that we approved a couple months ago. So they are moving and are on target with their completion date. So we are looking forward to that. We had our annual meeting for the state reporting for our stormwater, our MS4, and we are very blessed to have Mr. Jamie Wheeler that comes with many years of experience to work on that project for us. So we're very grateful for Jamie. We met with our team, our engineering team as well, to submit an application for our new road project for 2025. And we are also, just a couple more things, we are in-house, we are working on a checklist when an applicant comes to our city to develop a piece of property. We're working with our water and sewer department as well as inspections to make sure that everybody's included and there's a good updated checklist from A to Z. So we are working on that. And we are also working on, with growing, you have growing pains, so we're working through all that. But we are working on a better process so that when an applicant comes, we can give them more accurate, better numbers for our sewer capacity. So we're working on that process now, and we are about 99% done with that. So so that when developers come to us, we will be able to give them better facts. So we're thankful that we have a good team that's working on that accuracy. That is it, Mayor.
Great, thank you. JJ, I'm going to start with you. JJ, I'm going to start with you. Any reporting?
I do not have anything to report this evening. Thank you,
James,
Mayor.
anything?
I do. Just kind of did a little preliminary thing for us to kind of maybe focus on for 2025 as far as the cemetery is concerned. Ultimately, we acquired the property that's adjacent to one of our sections in the cemetery that may give us a potential area to develop at a later date. Not right now, because it'll be a huge price tag. Because when you start removing trees, you start removing tree roots to do burials, to expand your cemetery, it costs a lot of money. So at this point, we still have quite a few lots for sale, or mainly around the edges. And we've also have a buyback system to where if somebody's moving, the city will buy back their lots at a discounted rate, of course. Okay? Therefore, we resell them at our current rate. Thank you. That's just a free enterprise system at work. Other than that, I'd like to see us do 2 cleanup reports as far as getting some volunteers together twice a year and still clean up our cemetery, keep it nice, looking nice, and still do the beautification projects like pine straw and flowers. And then also like to see us, we installed a mausoleum, a 72 niche mausoleum. Sales have kind of been off, so if anybody wants any cremation niches, we have those available. And but we'd like to beautify that around there also with maybe some benches, things like that we do have money for. So, but
that's great.
Other than that, we're just moving forward.
Great, thank you. Dr. Sterling?
I have, I'm starting back doing the mini lessons on local government at West Jackson. I sent out an email today to the last 2 teachers that are in kindergarten, and then I'm going to move to first grade, then second and third. The other thing, I also am in contact with the high school to find out the counselors that were there last year are not there this year. It's a whole new group. And so, I'm waiting for their email addresses so I can email them, go and talk to them about the scholarship, that, we plan to, give, this year. And hopefully we're gonna do 2 scholarships rather than 1.
Great.
And, I'm still, doing the Meal on Wheels and, hope that, anybody that knows someone that needs a meal, would just, contact me here at City Hall.
Thank you. Tina?
Thank you. Parks and Green Space. So I finally, after several months of saying I was working on it, finished the request for proposal. Can you take one and just pass it down? I emailed it for Oak Street Park. We have money in the budget this year for Oak Street Park. Don't know that it would complete everything, but it would be a really good start. We'll just see where the bids come in. I'm passing requests for, I sent an email out to mayor and council with this because I'm asking for your input. This is just all out of Tina's head. And I just wanted some input on it, if you thought it was fine, if you have any other ideas or whatever. And we anticipate that would be posted next week, I think. We decided by Friday. So if you could give me any feedback before then, that would be great. So I'd like to get that RFP out there, get the bids, and get some work started. Mulberry Park, EMI completed their request for proposal for the demolition of the house on the property. So that's, completed a draft of it. So I'm looking through that. I think he sent a copy to the city manager. So we hope to move forward on demolishing that structure. The idea after that's gone, my idea, again, any feedback from the public, mayor, council, anybody, is to put a paver pavilion where that house now stands. I envision food truck Fridays and picnic tables, and maybe we can revive the customized pavers to help fund putting that in, but getting rid of that structure would be a good start as we enter 2025. And Mulberry Park, the grant has been approved, and everything should start moving with the entire park. So I'd like to get that structure down and start just getting that whole thing rock and rolling. I also have been in touch with the Georgia Forestry Commission, or they reached out to me. I reached out to them in the past. And they have some grants regarding like tree canopy mapping, and if we want to possibly have a tree ordinance for the city of Houston, they can help us write that. So I'm just going to attend 3 seminars that they have and see if that's something that we might want to consider. I know that I see there's a lot of wind tunnels in Houston with all the tree removal that's been going on, and I'd like to replace a few of the trees that, but they'll help us figure out where we can add back some trees and perhaps write a tree ordinance. So anyway, that's it.
I have a question. I have a question on the Oak Street. It's 500,000 grant, right? What's the grant for?
That's
500,000?
Mulberry. We don't have a grant for Oak Street.
Oh, but we have it in the budget.
It's in the budget.
$100,000.
100,000. And the grant for Mulberry, 500,000. That's an 80-20 grant, correct?
50/50. It's a matching.
Oh, it's matching.
We put up 5, they put up 5.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. James?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we formed a team that consists of myself right now, EMI, and Jamie Wheeler. What we're doing is looking at 4 future well sites and want to kind of pick out which one we think will be best. Then we're going to report to the mayor and council and try to go and drill our own wells so we can become self-sufficient here in the city, or become more or less dependent upon brothers and sisters around the county. Also working with EMI and Mr. Fletcher on the .95 and 2.0, they're really doing everything, but we're starting to think about writing up some policies and some procedures, so there's some steps of what to go, so the handoff to each party goes very smoothly, and they're doing a great job on that. When we start laying the new water lines for the new water system that we're going to be putting in, there's quite a few fire hydrants around the town that are like 3 and 4 foot from the street. And Jamie and I and I think, we mentioned I think Jamie said he mentioned something to Dr. Weiss about at that point, maybe we would look at, moving the fire hydrants back off the road somewhat so there won't be any kind of damage. GIS mapping, is moving really well and going in place. What that's gonna do is put all of our water lines, our sewer lines, and storm drains into the cloud. So in the future mayors and council members and everything, they'll know where all the water lines are digitally on camera and possibly be able to track leaks that way. And then the last thing we're doing is Jamie and I drove through the city, and looked at, some LMIG expenses. I think it was like $45,000 that we had to spend. And we're gonna make a recommendation to the mayor and the council that we look at, there's a few spots in the villages. And over on Oak Street, there's a drain there that we'd like to repair and get that going. So that's what we've been doing.
What a busy city we are, right? Thank you, Dave, I appreciate that.
Welcome.
All right, let's go to, lost my agenda here. New business item number 1. The meeting schedule for 2025, this is, it's in your packet. If you haven't received it, you're welcome to, Ben, if you need it, I can provide you a copy. It's the meeting schedule for council and work session and the regular sessions for 2025. Planning and zoning is also on this here. GDA and Historic Preservation Committee are also on here. So council, basically what I've done with the schedule for council is the second Thursday and the fourth Thursday. Let me correct that. Thank you, Jen. What Jen tells me, what I did, is the second and the third Thursday of every month. With all these other teams meeting, it was very hard to get in a schedule this time. So anyway, that's the schedule. We'll be hopefully approving that on the 21st, I believe. New items, new business, city council committee recommendations. I have sent out an email to the team, and some of you have already talked about it, which is fantastic. So I just want to, and Ben, I typed it up if you wanted to have it. Dr. Sterling is going to be staying with community outreach. A couple of her goals for the year, and I really love this one, is she's going to partner with the Veterans, Foreign War, and Crestwind veterans to see if they can come together and do things for the community. She's going to try to get more of the community involved in the schools, reading to the schools, and research ways to help the homeless in our community. Scott Porter, he's going to be assigned business relations. He has instituted Coffee and Conversations, although I think they're coming up with a different name for that. He's going to work with business owners to become more involved into the city and to see how we can help them, and then spotlight businesses in the city throughout the year, amongst other things. These are minimally of what they're doing, by the way. The list for several of them are long, like Dave Brown, Councilmember Brown. I wrote nicely, without all that detail, assist with water strategy, assist with sewer strategy, assist with road improvement strategy, and 5, 10, and 15-year plan. Is that pretty accurate?
It's enough.
Okay. I mean, I could give you the list, but it's a long list, so just believe me, it's in those areas. Tina, as you heard, Parks and Rec, the Oak Street RFP, Mulberry Park she talked about, maybe working with the GDA on coordinating brick sales, which I think is a fabulous idea, Tina. It's a great idea. And then work with the Georgia Forestry Commission, which she just talked about as well. For me, I will be doing council management that is my job, and I'll do some project management Jennifer and I will be working very closely together in the beginning, and we'll be pulling in other members so we can come together and create a city hall master plan or a concept plan. My thinking is to do this in phases, and so we will work that out, and I'll be happy to tell you what the phases are if you would like. First, come up with the concept plan or the master plan, that's number one. Clear the land, because we can also use that land once we clear it for other things, right? Like fall festival. James wants us off his lawn anyway, right, James?
We need 16 acres for an additional cemetery.
Okay, thank you. But you're not gonna be burying anybody over there at City Hall.
No,
Me, maybe, but not you.
to be announced, yeah.
The foundation, and then I probably want to do the police, part of that first, and then we'll move on. So that's what I'll be concentrating on. City ordinances, you know, I know a little bit about city ordinances, but mostly when they come up, I go read them. But I have committed to myself that I'm gonna read every single one of them, and I'll know a little bit about everything, which means I'm gonna be very dangerous. So that's my commitment to me and to the city. Parking solutions in the city, and Jennifer and I, we want to get some U-line agreement. So that's my area. James already talked about his area. Okay, that's city council committee recommendations. Mayor Pro Tem I'm moving on to item number 3. Mayor Pro Tem. So I did a little bit of checking actually Monday at the mayor's meeting in Jefferson, and I was unaware that pro tems are switched out or rotated yearly. So first, I would like to thank Dave Brown for being my sidekick all year. He's done a wonderful job. So this year, I'm going to be selecting a new mayor pro tem, and I have personally selected Dr. Fredria Sterling. This is her last year with us. She's been on council. This will be her 4th year, and I think that's she's worthy of that for this year. So that would be my recommendation to approve on the 21st. New business, item number 4, municipal court judge recommendations. Chief Hill, could you come to this?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we had several people that put in the municipal court judge. Unfortunately, we are losing Judge Green because he cannot be the Superior Court judge and our municipal court judge. They won't allow him to do that, so unfortunately, he is going, not by his own choice, but he went to bigger and better things. So we interviewed Mr. Kidd, and if you'll look at his resume, if Jen will scroll down just a little bit more, he is already a municipal court judge in several cities as well as a city attorney. We think he'll fit in great here, and he said he would get court done in a timely manner, and that's what we're looking for because lots of times court is the same day as council meetings. So I think he'll be a benefit to the city, and Mr. Kidd is our recommendation for municipal court judge. And I'll add, he was the only one that put in that had already been a municipal court judge also. So he already knows what he's doing.
One more comment on that.
Absolutely.
He is not related to Jennifer Kidd.
He is not related to
All right,
Jennifer
let's make
Kidd
sure that's
Harrison.
out in the open now.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows.
No nepotism here.
No relations. Thank
Hey,
you, Chief.
Mayor, I'd like to just say, Chief, thank you for all that y'all do, and I think the only concern we have with this report is, gosh, what's his name? I'm worried about him getting carpal tunnel with all these, Officer Emerson, when I look at this 3,300. So, okay, I'll look at his insurance and everything, but other than that, really appreciate all that y'all do. Thanks, Chief.
Item number 5, municipal elections qualification fees and dates. Jen, could I ask you to speak to this?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This is a really quick and simple one. Basically, by Georgia law, we are required to post by certain dates. The qualifying dates that will be held for the election in November, and that's to fill the mayor position, council seats, 1, 3, and 6. So we also have to establish the qualifying fee, which is 3% of the annual salary that was earned in the previous year. And these are all, things that are set by the state. So they're pretty easy to plug and play, and that's what you have before you here. And just for information, the city doesn't actually conduct the election. We just perform the qualifying part of it to make sure that all the candidates that are, that submit their, qualifying information, to make sure that everybody fits all of the requirements of the city. And then we send that to Jackson County, who actually conducts the election on our behalf.
Do we have dates for that, Jennifer?
So the qualifying dates will be August 18th, 19th, and 20th, during the regular business hours. Well, I think it starts a little bit later, so 8:30 to 4:30 on those 3 days.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. I have to requalify? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Item number 6, hydrant meter deposit. Jennifer, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So, before a developer gets their, permanent water for their units, they have to, apply to get a fire hydrant so they can have water to test certain things that are, expected from our inspector. And so, we, as we're growing, we need more hydrants, and we realize that the price of the hydrants have gone up. So all we are asking is that, to amend the deposit to go to $2,000 versus $1,500 as what it is now. And all that is just to cover the cost of the hydrant, because that has went up, and that's it. No other changes have been made.
Thank you, Jennifer. Item number 7, personnel policy update, on-call policy. Jen, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So a few months ago, you voted to pass part of an on-call policy, update that was proposed, and that just adjusted the mileage the distance that someone is allowed to drive a city vehicle home, someone who's performing on-call service that week. And then at the time you wanted to get more information and more detail, I guess, about how the on-call policy, people who are on-call are paid their extra money for working that week. I'm sorry, I can't talk.
No, you're doing fine.
So what you see before you outlines basically the policy and how the departments individually are paid for the time that they work on call. So it's different. You can see the police department receives a flat rate of $200. Public Works Department will receive a flat rate of $100 plus hours worked, at a rate of time and a half for all the hours over 40 hours worked that week. And then the sewer department, they come in and do regular checks. So they are paid 2 hours per day on Saturday and Sundays to come in and do the plant checks. And they'll get time and a half on that for any hours that week worked over 40. So you can see all the rest of the details there, but basically this is just needed to be looked at because the departments were set up differently recently. Do you want to say that more clearly than me?
No, that was great, Jen. Thank you so much. So each department, I looked for them, their recommendation on what they're on call. So maybe some of y'all know, maybe some of you don't know, but even the police department is on call right now because we do not have a 24-hour round-the-clock police on duty. So, but if something major happens, they will be called in. So there's always somebody on call for every department that we have that's an essential department. So, so we are asking, I believe it was Councilmember Tina Brown that had asked for, had requested that it be a policy, just so all personnel knows exactly, it's black and white, there it is. So, but now, like, for instance, when Chief Hill has 24-hour coverage, he might not necessarily have on call. So it can be flexible, but it's in the policy, so if we do need it, it's there.
Thank you.
So Is the employee ever offered time off versus taking the money?
We have done, comp time before, but, again, our city is ran on 24/7. If that was the case, and another thing too, we have about 20 employees. We need them here. And so if we're constantly giving comp time to our
Yeah.
employees, then, it's really hurting the city because they already have PTO time as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jen. Okay, new business item, number 8. This is an IGA, agreement with Jackson County Commissioners and the City of Houston. Let me just give you a little back history on this. In the Kennerly agreement, if you recall, James, you were here, Dr. Sterling, you were here, so you may recall this the best. In the arbitration agreement was that, the county would also get impact fees.
That's correct.
Houston is getting our impact fees, but the county was also levied to get theirs. So this is the agreement between the City of Houston and the county that we will actually, what's the word I want to use? We're going to monitor, the impact fees are going to come to the city.
Oversee it.
Oversee it. I think they call it levy.
Yep.
We're going to charge an admin fee, which that admin fee is in accordance with, what did you call it, Applebee's?
The impact fee ordinance.
The impact fee ordinance, thank you. And then we'll deliver the money to the county. So that's what this agreement is for. Ab's looked at it, he's helped me, beef it up a little bit, and the county has already looked at it as well, so.
I want to add one thing.
Please.
Dr. White's had some comments. He and I talked prior to the meeting. And so we're going to look at this between now and Tuesday week when we meet. And if Dr. White's has some input that he wishes to bring before you, perhaps we'll include that Tuesday week. But we do have a week and a half to look at that. And I've pledged Dr. White's to work with him to see if we need to make any changes.
Okay, thank you. New business item number 9. This is, 0-25-01. This is personal transportation vehicle ordinance, golf carts. Ab?
Yes. I put this together based on a recommendation y'all sent. The state allows, cities and counties to get into golf cart, they call them personal transportation vehicle, regulations as long as we follow the state's guidelines. So I put that together. It, replaces the old, golf cart body of ordinances that we have, some of which required registration and this sort of thing. It's my understanding that the city desires simply to regulate these in accordance with state law, which is, approved crossings, have the appropriate equipment and lights and stuff on golf carts, operate them in accordance with traffic laws on places where you can operate them, this sort of thing. So it's a pretty straightforward ordinance. I'm happy to address any questions anyone has.
Registration goes away.
Yes.
It's actually still payable to the police department.
You mean payable to Chief Brad Hill? Okay, Steve?
Yes. Now we have citizen input. Would anyone wish to address the mayor and council this evening? If so, please raise your hand. All right, come on up, sir. I will state you can address the mayor and council about anything you wish. You'll have up to 5 minutes. The only topic that's off limits is the daycare center that we talked about earlier. That's because we had a public hearing on it. It's now closed, so you can address the mayor and council on any other topic you wish. You'll state your name, your address, whether you're a resident of the city of Houston. You'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Ty Clack. I live at 2782 Rowland Drive, unincorporated Jackson County, that's Jefferson, but I identify as a Houston resident. So I just wanted to speak to the council and the mayor and introduce myself to you guys that don't already know me. I think you all do. I just want to say Happy New Year to all of you guys. Thank you for your service. I look forward to working with you. For those of you that I haven't befriended yet or haven't met through the campaign trail, I look forward to working with you guys, and I'm thankful for y'all's leadership and serving your community. Thank you.
That's some yeoman's work, sitting here for an hour and 20 minutes to give those comments. All right. That was the only hand, so that'll be all for citizen input.
No executive today, correct? Okay, with that, is there a motion?
I just got one question.
Oh, sure, sorry.
Going back to the hydrant meter deposit, does the developer ever get that money back?
Yeah, they do.
For how long?
They can keep the hydrant as long as they need to. It's $100 a week to keep it, plus you're paying for the usage of keeping it commercial, right? But as soon as they bring it back, if there is no damage to the hydrant, they get their money back. It goes through the process. I'm not sure. It's probably about 10 to 15 days.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, James. Second? Second. All in favor? Great, thank you.
Get home. Storm is coming.
Watch that snow.
Exactly.
Ah.
Oh, God.